Hey there! We just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who have listened, shared, engaged, and sent us love. It means the world to know that we've had the chance to spread even just a little bit of knowledge, insight, and encouragement to you along your health journeys.
If you'd like to support the work we're doing, we've created a Patreon page where you can earn some exciting rewards, because being a part of the HIP team isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle.
Contributions start as low as $1 a month, with each level offering a number of super fun perks, like monthly bonus episodes, Q&As, a portrait drawn by our own in-house artist, and even personal chats with the Health It's Personal team.
We created this podcast so that everyone can have the chance to access informative, inspirational, and insightful stories, and your support is a huge step in us reaching those who need it most. We wish we could give you all a big hug, but hopefully this will suffice, at least until we're allowed to hug again.
If you love what you hear or are as passionate about health as we are, please visit patreon.com/thehip podcast. That's patreon.com/the HIP podcast. We couldn't do this without you, so thank you again, and thanks in advance for joining our ever-growing HIP family.
This week's episode is especially special.
Super special.
Because we had on Sean's mom, Penny, and brother, Noah, for a super fun and insightful interview in our nutrition series.
Woo! The tingles!
Right? the tingles. And I know I am again super biased. Obviously, I already know them very well, but I promise we didn't choose them just because of that. We've been through a lot as a family, losing our dad at a young age, and my mom being a single parent for many years, and then going through relationships for herself and how that impacted us, and then also our journey through mental health and nutrition, along with all of those different big things going on in our lives at already difficult ages.
So your mom's a superstar, first of all, and your family's so lovely. And I feel like I've known Noah forever, but I've never even talked to Noah before. So that was so nice.
I feel that way too.
Yeah, you have known him forever, Sean. But what a great conversation. And Sean and I had chatted before about their special relationship. So Noah and Sean are 8 years apart, and my kids are 8 years apart. And also, so I relate to Penny so much because she and Noah have such a special relationship as a grown man and his mother. Through the teenage years, there's highs and lows and things that you worry about. And so I always feel so inspired by their story, because I hope someday that Max and I have that really solid relationship. And one of the loveliest things that you told me before, Sean, was that they have a standing lunch every week. And oh my gosh, I can't even.
Yeah, I think that's so nice, especially because Mom and I have always had a very strong relationship, I feel like. I mean, we've had our moments, of course, but between her and Max, I feel like they've had a lot more challenges, because though they are very similar in many ways, they're very different. Yeah, so I think it was really interesting to see how Penny navigated those waters, because I feel like Mom's right in the middle of it. Penny also talked about how little Sean, when he was little, was super open to hearing about nutrition and physical and mental health, because Penny was always so willing to share all the information that she would learn on her health journey with her kids. And Sean was super open to listening.
Lifelong learner.
Yeah, and implementing that. And I feel like I'm the same way.
That's right.
While Noah and Max weren't at that age.
Not at all.
They have to learn on their own. Noah said, I had to just figure myself out, make my mistakes, and learn.
Can't have anyone tell me how to do it.
Yeah. But that's hard for a parent, because
is.
you don't know that they're going to learn until you see it. It's that lack of crystal ball.
Yeah, exactly. Lack of crystal ball. I think it was challenging for her, especially because she's very much like that herself. And being the parent, she has to learn it her own way. If you tell her she can't do something, she wants to do that 10 times more. And so as a teenager, she wanted to be a mechanic, because everyone's like, girls can't do that, right? So she's like, you know what? I'm going to be a mechanic. So she actually, her first car, she wasn't allowed to drive it until she had fixed it herself. It wasn't running when she got it, and she fixed it herself, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Sean, how old were you when your dad passed away?
I was 12.
Okay. And so Noah was 4?
4, yeah.
Wow.
That's tough.
And and your mom's such a strong person, and she had to play that role for both of you.
Yeah.
How did your family dynamics change?
we had I think a really healthy family. Although when my brother was born after that, my dad got really busy at work. He was in the Air Force and the OSI, and he was a special agent, and he was actually assistant to the director of the entire OSI.
The coolest
So
guy.
cool.
Yeah, so cool. But that meant he was traveling all over the world every month. They'd go to a different country like Saudi Arabia or something like that, and they'd have to meet ambassadors and things like that. And he would also work like 18-hour days when he was home. And so that was already challenging towards the end. And then this all hit us. So it was just chaos for a few years surrounding that. And prior to that, we had a really healthy family dynamic. My parents were always really good at balancing each other out and being a team. You know, my mom was all of a sudden alone, and my brother was really young still. And so we didn't really have a relationship yet. And I was just like entering I was a preteen, right? And then a teenager, and I was trying to figure myself out. And then here was Noah, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm kind of also the parent in a way.
Yeah. No.
But that strained our
like,
relationship.
Really strong big brother vibes coming out, probably.
Yeah, or tried anyways. And so I can relate to that because he was not responding well to that shift. Like, you're not my dad.
Oh my gosh. So you can feel me, Sean. You're like,
yeah,
I know it's hard, Karen. I was doing it when I was 12.
Yeah. And I would try so hard to like help guide him, but you know, he'd have to balance I'm just your friend trying to tell you the thing, and then also like, you can't do that.
Yeah. I have to find that balance too with him, because he's
hard.
old enough now to be my friend, but also when he's doing something that I know he shouldn't be, I want to be like, stop. What are you doing? Something I also liked hearing about your mom and your dad was that they both kind of faced body image issues when they were young. So I think they both tried really hard to raise you two without making you feel like you had to gain weight or lose weight or, you know, just eat a hamburger, you know, that type of mentality. So I think that was really nice to hear that they learned from what their parents did and was able to make a positive change with you guys.
It goes into that whole thing, like, if you have a difficult childhood like that, you can choose to kind of let that rule the rest of your life, or you can choose to maybe change those things or use as an example of what not to do. But it's extra funny because my dad, you know, he was thin. My mom was dealing with feeling like she was too big, even though she wasn't. But my dad he was about 5'6" or so, maybe 5'7". I can't remember quite right now. But, and then my brother and I are both about 6 feet. So,
right. Oh my gosh. That's
so that was another fun, you know, contrast there.
Yeah. Thin and tall. Something that I really love that Noah said was that he started to realize things for himself and start making changes because his mindset changed. He became a man. He started realizing he had this great influence with his fiance, and she's so healthy. And Noah realized that he wanted to make choices for himself, and it's affected his mental health. It's affected his relationships. And so I love that he can see kind of the whole picture now, and he realizes like what was going on, but he made a change early on. And so he has the whole rest of his life to be healthy and happy and feel good.
And he didn't really want to probably talk about it, but he was going through, I mean, he said the worst he had was like stomach pain, but I will say that because I was there, he had a lot of stomach pain and issues related to that. And he was he was uncomfortable, but he didn't really know what was causing that. He just thought, I'm having these pains.
Yeah.
But later on, he did kind of figure that out, you know, now that I'm eating a little healthier. And we're not always perfect, right? We'll still, I'm sure we'll still go out and have chicken nuggets, right? But he's not doing that every day, which it was almost at that point where every day he was going out to like, let's drive through McDonald's or.
Yeah. I love that he said perfect's just a word. There's no such thing. So
that's perfect. Ha! Perfect way to think about it. Yeah, perfect thing to say. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what to expect because, you know, I'm very biased. It's my family. It's, you know, but I feel like they have a lot to offer people and so much more than what we just talked about today. Like they have so many things that they could help chat with people about and just walk through because they've been there. They've walked through those, you know, they've been in those shoes.
Yeah, and I don't think we said that Penny's an educator.
Yeah, she is. She has lots of experience teaching. So it's really cool because she wanted to be a mechanic. She got tons of experience with that. Then she went to beauty school. Then she got a degree in criminal justice.
Oh my gosh.
And then she went into education. So it's really funny.
That's awesome. They gave us such a nice insight into what it's like to be a mother and son who once butt heads at times and went through their fair share of challenges and now have made it on to the other side. And so it's a really inspirational story, and it comes from such a warm, loving place, but it's always just so fun to chat with them because they're so fun and funny. So grab a cup of tea and enjoy.
Health is understanding what you need,
being informed, finding that balance of mental and physical,
building yourself a support system,
figuring things out on my own and not letting it hold me back.
You do kind of have to advocate for yourself.
Because health, it's personal. Today is a very special day. We get to talk to some special people in my life. My mom and little brother actually decided to feel brave and talk with us on the podcast, which is very exciting. So hopefully it's helpful to kind of chat with Noah and Penny.
Yay, welcome. Yes, you guys are totally an inspiration to me. I think sometimes when I look at Max, I'm like, oh, Noah turned out so good. It's going to be fine.
It's not as good as it looks, I promise. I promise. It's all a show.
No,
I make him perform when we're in public.
Yeah, right. I'm a show monkey.
Noah used to do a little bit of acting and modeling and dancing, so he's used to
that. None of you guys told me how bad I was.
Everyone was always so entertained, so. Noah, do that thing. Do some breakdancing. What did you do?
I used to be able to do the splits in Taekwondo.
Yeah, splits.
Yeah, I used to be able to do the splits.
Hip-hop dance,
wow.
Yeah, some age, maybe, probably hormones. We're like, maybe not. Yeah. You're not as flexible as you seem.
He's the complete opposite of me.
Yeah.
And me.
Sean is my really scummy manager that I just can't get rid of because he's a family member.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
He won't go away.
He just won't go away.
Great. So it's really exciting because Noah, you are now 23 years old.
Yep. Just turned 23 a month ago.
It's very exciting. And that's a huge time in your life, and it's a huge transition, and you have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stress, a lot of excitement, a lot of growth, right?
Yeah.
And you've recently graduated college. You're getting married soon. There's a
Wow.
lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Let's kind of talk about things that you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone regarding your relationship with what you're doing now in life, and how your relationship with food and health has evolved over the years.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are very skinny people, so growing up, body image was like a really big deal to me. You know, it was like on the other side of like, everything was about how skinny I was or something like that. So there was always that kind of like want to eat more, but like the appetite was never there. So it was always kind of that one of those things where like growing up, I mean, we had kind of a very unique situation. I mean, we had mom trying to be mom and dad at the same time as just trying to be your own person, which is incredibly difficult, and then raise both of us. So we had a lot of fast food. I also look back to that time period of the mid 2000s, you know, like Super Size Me was coming out, and fast food was like a thing. Fast food was something that everybody did, you know, like it was one of those weird thing that nobody talked about, but everybody had fast food, and it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
Where it became a little difficult was, you know, obviously I don't have to worry about the immediate effects of my body looking different, but that doesn't mean that my internals are okay.
Right.
It's been a struggle because it's just so easy, right? Like to go spend the $10, you know, somewhere and not make the food and save myself that 30, 40 hour, you know, at 6 p.m. after I get off work. It's definitely changed ever since being with my fiance, Autumn. She's just one of those people that you just never want to disappoint, right? So whatever she's aiming for or anything like that, you're going to try and follow through with that. So she's a really big health nut. So kombucha, lots and lots of green juice, stuff like that, where I didn't even know what kombucha was, you know, 5 years ago. And then she got me hooked on it. And now it's just it's all about my gut health. But
And I remember when you started that, when you kind of first met her and started dating, I think her and I had kind of discussed, we're totally going to fix Noah. We're going to team up and we're going to get him on board finally. Because Mom and I had tried for years.
You were like their little project.
No, yeah, health is just one of those things. The older you get to, you know, it doesn't, when you're a kid, you're indestructible. Nothing matters, you know, you just do whatever and think about the repercussions when you're 35. But growing up and being 23, which is by no means anywhere in life, but you have to make your own decisions. And it's do I want to live for a long period of time, or do I want to live it up now and just stuff my body with grease. So it's one of those things where it's just like, just because something's easy doesn't mean it's the right choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like, you start to feel different when you're younger. You're a little more invincible, your body's able to take it, but as you get older you start feeling sluggish, or your mind's not as sharp or whatever, and you have to make those changes, right?
Yeah, I know, exactly. And then for me, like, I've always been kind of like a semi-athletic person. I was never on the side where I didn't want to be athletic, but I was never on the side where I could be a good athlete. So I've always loved like playing like football. You know, football is like one of my biggest passions, which is so funny because people look at me and are like, you don't like football.
Right.
I love sports, I do. So that's been the healthy side of it. But then when I go on that side, it's like, am I eating enough? Like, am I refilling my body enough? So it's like, there's always like with health and food, especially, there's always some other side to it that you always have to be kind of aware of, essentially.
And it's funny because like I'm the black sheep because our dad loved football, our mom loves football, Noah loves football, and I'm over here like
We all don't love football, John, so you can be on our team.
on your not team.
Yeah.
But yeah, Noah was, and that was a little bit of a different kind of time for me because I wanted to eat healthier, right? I was inspired by our mom, you know, kind of learning all about the body and all of what the food has in it and how it impacts us. And then not athletic. And then Noah's over there being super athletic and eating McDonald's like every other day or every day.
That's funny.
So together, we made a healthy person.
That's so funny. The same thing happens at our house. McKenna is more inclined to think about what she eats and has been more health focused. Even as a young person, when she was little, she would eat like couscous and sushi and like eat all these things that no 3 or 4-year-old was eating, you know, not that that's super healthy, but like she was more adventurous with food.
Right.
And Max, you know, he would eat Chick-fil-A and Takis every single day. And I know sometimes if your relationship is a little contentious, sometimes that's the battle that you kind of lose. You're just like, just eat it. Let's move on. Penny, what was your health journey like? And what was it like for you as a mom trying to, you know, nourish your kid in a fast-paced life or trying to be all of the things that you were for them? What was that like for you?
I think after when Paul died, I became very motivated about my health. I wanted to be around for the boys, you know, so they didn't have to lose another parent. So I joined a gym and I had a nutritionist and I got really thin and very healthy. And then I think I started like a year or two after he passed, I started dating, you know, and then trying to balance the boys and dating. And, you know, I didn't see the nutritionist anymore, even though that was the best I probably ever felt. The boys, Sean was the adventurous one. He would eat anything. I mean, you know, he's 5 years old and he wants crab legs and peas for his birthday dinner, you know, where we had McDonald's right
Little
there
Sean.
and he wouldn't go. I know.
I refused. I always hated McDonald's my whole life.
We lived in Virginia at the time, and service in restaurants is horrid there. And we waited and waited for the food, and we're like, Sean, you sure you don't want to go over to McDonald's and like get, you know, a Happy Meal? He's like, no, I want my crab legs.
I know that's Max too. Max will eat crab legs when we go out to dinner. I'm like, what do you think we are? Like the Rockefeller?
Yes. Yeah.
The hamburgers are $1.
Yeah, so then poor Noah didn't have that same experience because I think at the time when I was, you know, seeing a nutritionist, I was trying to introduce healthier foods for all of us because I knew how it made me feel so much better and it helped me get through my grief, and, you know, working out too helps with that. And Noah wouldn't have it. Noah wouldn't eat anything but chicken nuggets. He didn't like pizza. So like we'd go to a birthday party, they'd have cake and he wouldn't eat it because he didn't like it.
I also don't like cake. It's not really my favorite thing, which is funny, right? But now Noah loves a specific type of cake.
Funfetti, it's just fun. I don't even know if it's the taste of it. I think it's just the
Yes.
memories associated with it. You know, like where it's just kind of, it's fun. You know, it's a party.
That is really fun cake. Have you guys ever seen that cake that you cut into it and then all the sprinkles come out?
Yes.
Yes. I think you'd really like that, Noah. So once you got yourself in the right mindset and kind of headed down your health journey, did you start to think about the kinds of things that Noah was eating and try to get him to change his habits? Or did you just sort of let him figure things out in his own time?
Yeah, I think there was times where I really tried to get him to eat something else and then he refused. So then I think then there was times when the struggle wasn't worth, you know what I mean? So I gave in.
Like, you know how important it is, but at the same time, so is your relationship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I think, there was a lot of stuff, going on in our personal lives. And it was just, okay, let's do this for Noah. He can get this. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it's really bad for you, Noah. Yeah. And then having Sean at the time, he wanted to be a vegetarian. And so everything Noah would put in his mouth, Sean would say, "Do you know how much sodium is in that, Noah? Do you know how much you just ate?" And so that probably didn't help Noah want to.
And now I lecture myself when I make those decisions. So.
Oh my gosh. So when did that kind of change for you, Noah?
Let's think. Probably when I got my first job, I started to kind of look at a little bit more of what I was eating, because I think it's really important to understand, when you go shopping, those vegetables and fruit is now yours, your money. It's not mom's, and it's not like I can just leave it or I can come and get it. I just think it's when any responsibility came my way is when I was like, oh, I have to do something that's past just wake up, sleep and do whatever I want, right? So I think probably 18, that was around the time Autumn and I started to get together, and we were at high school, so there's certain periods of your life where you deserve to have fun and maybe make the decisions that aren't the most best for what is in that time. But I think it's all about growing and just making those decisions, even if you don't want to, even if it's that extra effort that takes a little bit more extra time. You just might as well do it, because at the end of the day, no, my mom's not going to be there feeding me every night, right? And how terrible would it be if now my fiance, my future wife, isn't going to be my mother, right? It's terrible. For her to be Noah, eat your greens, that's terrible. She doesn't want that job. That's why I have Penny, and then Penny doesn't even want that job anymore. So it's what the heck?
You're grown, friend.
Like I said, going in with kombucha and with more gut health and everything like that. When you eat a lot of junk and when you eat a lot of fast food, you're sluggish, you are tired. Even if you have the highest metabolism possible, you're still gonna feel those side effects. So I think for myself, I've been fortunate to not really have a lot of issues with my stomach that branch past a stomach ache.
You're making choices for yourself. What advice would you give to younger Noah about those things?
Yeah, I think it would be easy for me to say just go back in time, tell yourself to eat healthy. But at the same time, I'm not that type of person that I always have to learn by mistake or an example or something like that. For some reason, that's just how my brain works. I have to do something and then I have to realize the repercussions or whatever the outcome of it to realize, hey, I don't want to do that again. Or hey, I actually really love this thing. So I wouldn't want to make as many mistakes as I made with my diet. And I would just kind of tell myself just to take your time, but to just try different things. Just try those things that are green that you may not like. I love kale. I had no idea what kale was until I was 12, I think I would go back and I would just tell myself, be patient with yourself, but also have some self-control.
You had to figure it out for yourself, and you did. You figured it out, and now you're a healthy person.
On top of that, too, I think if you just have, some people, our family just unfortunately has some fantastic mental health. It's never an issue for any of us, for sure. Our family has dealt with heavy depression since I don't even know how to go down the line. So pairing that with food that's chemically imbalanced in a sense, it's not going to render well for our type of people with our kind of minds and everything like that. So I think that's also a huge thing, is that everything is situational, but you can look around and see what actually is working for you. And a lot of the time people are surprised to see, oh my gosh, the things I'm eating is 50% of what's weighing me down right now, So it's just one of those things where food controls everything. It controls your energy, but it also controls how well you're doing in life too.
Do you see a shift since you started making those choices for yourself, that you feel much better?
Yeah, I think the eating healthier and making those other decisions go kind of hand in hand with just taking control of your own life and making your own adult decisions. It's easy for you to sit there and say what's good and bad, and to look at it and be okay, this is good food, but this is bad food. It's just about growing up. It's about making those decisions that might not be the fun ones, right? But they're the ones that are going to keep me alive for when I eventually have children. And I want to see my own grandchildren, and that's kind of the push.
I was thinking about, how I feel about Max, and I worry. I think, are they unhealthy on the inside, or, is it affecting their mental health, and could they be thriving in other areas? And so you worry. So it's so nice to hear that, you give them that foundation, and once they are able to make choices for themselves, that they remember that, right?
Yes, you lay the foundation, And like I said, educating yourself probably on nutrition, which I did not do. Sean helped with that a lot because Sean was always wanting to be a vegetarian and wanting to, eat healthier. He was always saying that to us. So we would try all these different recipes. I was always willing to, whatever Sean wanted, but Noah would never eat it. But at least, like you said, we laid the foundation so that when he went out to make his own choices.
And you learn a lot of substitutions too.
Yes, yep.
If I don't have this, or if I don't want this, what can I use instead?
Right, because I've been following a keto type of lifestyle off and on. But through the pandemic, it's kind of thrown me off. Okay, so
Okay, everyone.
but
Back
okay. Just saying. So I've introduced all that to the boys too. Whatever lifestyle I'm living, they have to eat because I'm the one who cooked.
And we're always still sharing recipes and ideas and new things we've learned about it. And we're not sticking to one specific diet. We're kind of mixing and matching what works for us as individuals. In regards to body image and body image issues, stereotypes, I know that both of you had different ends of the spectrum there, with Noah and I getting called skinny all the time at school or whatever, all those comments. And then Mom, you had other different types of comments. Even though I've seen the photos from your childhood, you were absolutely not in bad shape whatsoever.
Yes. I'm not blaming my mom in any way because, you got to look at where they grew up and how they grew up. But definitely, I've always felt fat. My mom would always say, oh, you got those hips, you got those big hips. Now you'll be easy when you have kids, and it was always, you look heavier, or you better watch yourself. You're going to look like so-and-so, like with the big hips and, and I always felt huge. So like in high school, I weighed about 117 pounds and I thought I was fat. But I didn't do anything as far as bulimic, like throwing up. I could never do that. But I remember struggling with diet pills and stuff like that through my youth. And now, even to this day, I still see those hips,
Yeah, it's hard to get those comments out of your head, right?
It definitely is. It makes you who you are. Yeah, and then for Sean and Noah, because they were always thin, my brother was always thin, their dad was always thin, my father was, really thin. I never mentioned how thin they were because they were healthy. It didn't matter. Like I remember there was a time when we took Noah to the gym, we paid for training for him when he was like in that 12, 13, 14-year-old body to help him know that these are the things you can do. I'm not saying you're going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you
or that you want to be.
Yeah. You work with what you have, but you're healthy.
Yeah, do it the right way. Our dad was really, really in shape, really buff, worked out all the time, but he did it in very healthy ways. And I was fortunate to kind of see that process and what it took to be that built, right? And it was not easy especially if you're a thinner person.
It's not about what you are in the outside, but what you are in the inside. And as long as you're doing healthy practices, that's what matters most. And I think it's important for parents and teens to remember that it's the small things that you say in passing that sometimes the other person holds on to. And, 10, 15 years later, I might go to Mom and say, remember when you said this to me? And she's like, no,
And then I'm mortified. Yeah. I'm like, what?
Luckily, our mom was great with that in terms of our body image, at least. Yeah.
Mine too, for the record. I could never even think off the top of my head anything that she said that's made me feel insecure or uncomfortable. But
those things in passing do stick with you, even if someone might not mean it in the way it's intended. My family used to call me Bubble Butt. I hated that so bad.
Well, I also think it's really important because I think that everybody deals with body image and issues with that. Because we're sitting here being like, oh my gosh, we're just so thin, right? Like, and everybody can look at that and be like, oh, wow, what a problem to have. But I think it's so important to understand that everybody's healthy body is different than the person that you're comparing yourself to or something like that. I think body image is a very individual process. And as long as you're reaching a point of healthiness, it doesn't matter what your body looks like. It matters if you're living 10 years from now.
Yeah. Swim in your lane. Focus on how you feel. Absolutely.
Just be nice to people.
Yeah, and
be nice to everybody. Don't worry about yourself. Just be nice,
Kind.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Commenting on someone's body is not kind. Is there anything that you do or listen to or read that just really makes you feel like your best self or inspires you, encourages you?
Yeah, it's so funny. I really love horror. Like the genre of horror is like something that like really fills my cup up, and a lot of people are like, "How can murder, death, all that stuff?" It's
What's in your cup, Noah? Murder.
yeah, I know. What's in my freezer? No, I think I think horror is such a special genre to me because it is every genre. There's no boundaries in it, and I think in life there's only boundaries, right? That either we set for ourselves or is set for us. So I recently just read a book. It was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Killing Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I read it in a day. I just sat down and I read 400 pages of it, and for me, that's just I've been really into a horror phase, but it's not. You know, I'm lucky that like it doesn't affect me negatively at all, or it doesn't impact me. It motivates me, you know, in a weird way.
Yeah, that's funny.
It runs in the family too, generations of
That's so
horror
funny.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is for anyone, as long as it can inspire you.
Also, I started a garden. I've been trying this for years, but we finally got good soil. So now, like every day I go out and water it and I look at the growth and I'm excited. I get so excited about it because I want food that I know isn't processed and has all the bad stuff. So I'm hoping that it does well.
I hope so too.
Well, you guys, it's been amazing chatting with you. And I know I feel this way all the time with Max and just wanting to make sure that he's healthy and happy. And I feel so inspired, Noah, about your story. Gosh, you guys are so amazing. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, we enjoyed it. Thank
So
you.
fun.
It was really fun.
It was fun.
You're the coolest.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Health That's Personal. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts for bonus episodes and new releases every Wednesday. The Health That's Personal podcast is produced by me, McKenna and hosted with the Phronesis Health Initiative team, Karen Shively and Sean Tingle. Special thanks to portrait artist Alexander, musical contributor Bernie Ramke, and to our guests and experts for their kindness and bravery in sharing their stories each week.
Please listen, subscribe, engage, and send us topics we can explore that would help you on your journey.
Because health, it's personal.